Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you all for signing up to learn about our year end tax strategies and ways to minimize your taxes today and for the long term. We're really excited about today's presentation, and I believe everyone will come away with some new ideas. My name is Kurt, and I'll be your presenter today. And what you're about to hear represents the best and brightest thinking from our team, and it's the collective wisdom of over 100 years experience. A little bit about me and about my firm, Turning Point Financial. Here's a little bit on this slide about me. I have over 30 years experience in the financial services industry. I started my career back in the 1980s on Wall Street. Some housekeeping before we get going. I like to be upfront and tell everyone what's going on so that there's no surprises. And for anybody who's attended our prior webinars, thanks for being here. We've been at it for nearly 4 years now, and we try to do these every month. Three basic parts to our presentation. First, we take you through various tax strategies, potential ways to lower taxes. Second, we'll show you how this might personally affect you. There's many factors that must be considered. Lastly, we'll have Q&A. Please use the chat box at any time with your questions. We'll get to those at the end. We want to help you understand that there are actions you can take today that can have an impact on your life and lifestyle in the future. Two things not happening today. One, I'm not here to sell you anything. This is educational. And two, it can be difficult to provide personal financial advice in a group setting like this one. I'll do my best to answer your questions, but we may need to take it offline. Not to worry, your participation today, it entitles you to a free meeting with me. I'll tell you how that works later on if that's something you're interested in. My firm, Turning Point Financial, is what's known as a registered investment advisor. The SEC is our regulator. Home office located in Frederick, Maryland. That's where I'm coming to you from today. We specialize with federal employees, and we have clients from most of the agencies across the entire country. We're fiduciaries. That means we put your best interest first. We get asked this a lot. It's an important question. If you're looking for an advisor, that's something you absolutely want to ask, because not every advisor out there is a fiduciary and held to the fiduciary standard. Our website, tpfinancial.com. It's not on this slide, but I will have it on an upcoming slide. Here's what we'll be covering today. Taxes are obviously not a fun-filled topic. We'll do our best to keep you engaged with some real-life stories of families that we've worked with. Next, a little side benefit or bonus to today's presentation. Our focus today is on things to handle before the end of the year to lower your tax bill, but we're also going to get into some long-term tax planning, and that will come across loud and clear in the presentation. Lowering our taxes this year, it's important, but you'll also learn some ways to lower that long-term tax bill. And by that, we mean taxes that we all have to pay over our entire lifetime. Let's stick with that theme. Why do we need a long-term tax strategy anyway? Well, the answer quite simply is you will pay more in taxes without a long-term tax strategy. Maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but it's highly likely it will cost you a lot more over the long term. What the heck am I talking about? There are little things that you can do today, this year and beyond to lower your long-term tax bill. And participating in the Roth is just one example. And I'll show you some ways and share some stories. Taxes are expected to be higher in the future, and the Roth will help you manage that. Long-term tax planning involves understanding all your sources of income during retirement. Those sources of income will include your pension, Social Security, required minimum distributions, also known as RMDs, There may be Roth income, part-time income, investment income. Some families have rental income. And then you've got your spouse or partner and whatever income that they're receiving. The understanding that I'm talking about are the tax consequences. And not only how that works with different tax brackets, but the impact it may have on Medicare premiums and taxes you'll pay on Social Security. See, the tax-free income that we receive from a Roth, it doesn't impact what we may pay for Medicare or how much of our Social Security will be taxed. We'll get into all of that more a little later on. We all have three buckets of money. The three buckets are taxable, tax deferred, and tax free. Everyone's goal should be to get as much money as they can into their tax free bucket. Most people have the largest portion of their money in the traditional TSP or traditional IRAs. And if you keep doing that, then you're going to end up with what we call the government plan, which is paying taxes for the rest of your life at whatever tax rates they tell you. You have a choice. You can make your own plan by acting today and creating tax-free sources of income. The Roth is one of the ways you can do this. It can be Roth TSP, Roth IRA. Private sector folks would be Roth 401k. Another way is with cash value life insurance. That strategy is known as the Super Roth. The choice is yours. You can take their plan and adapt as tax laws change, or you can make your own plan. If you're making your own plan, I suggest working with someone that knows what they're doing. I want to encourage everyone to think outside the box for just a sec. And not just what your family will earn this year and the taxes owed this year. Think about the total of all the taxes you pay during your entire working career. It's scary. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe more. What if you could chip away at it, put some dents in it, lower that big long-term tax bill by $50,000, $100,000, maybe $200,000, and have that for your fun retirement money? Getting advice from a financial planner or tax advisor can and does save the kinds of money I refer to. I see it all the time. But for it to work and to maximize the impact, it needs to be done well ahead of retirement. This is the sort of thing you simply cannot start on too early. Some of you may have heard me say before, it's okay to pay our fair share of taxes, but no one wants to leave the IRS a tip. If you're not proactive with tax planning, it's likely you're leaving the IRS a tip. Some good stuff here on this slide. We want to put as much as we can on autopilot. We want to have money come out of our paychecks automatically every pay period and have money allocated to your TSP, capture that match, to your IRA, to your HSA if you have one of those, or an FSA, 529 accounts. Contributions to all of these accounts can lower current taxable income. The HSA or health savings account. If you have one of those, and you have to be in a high deductible healthcare plan to qualify for an HSA, you might build that up, use that in retirement to pay for a variety of medical expenses. Think of the HSA as a Roth IRA for medical expenses. Only the HSA, it's triple tax-free. It's a no-brainer. Money goes in pre-tax, grows tax-free, comes out tax-free, as long as you're using it for your medical expenses. And it gets even better. You can invest the money in the HSA. So if you're young, an HSA is probably the absolute best thing you could do. Different types of accounts offer different strategies. If you have options to take money from accounts that offer different tax rates, you're truly in your own plan and not the government plan. And that's where we all should strive to be. The types of accounts that I'm referring to, those are Roth and traditional IRAs, non-retirement investment accounts, TSP, 529, HSA, FSA. FSA is flexible spending accounts. And then there are your bank accounts. Those are all the different types of accounts you may have set up. I've been a do-it-yourselfer off and on over the years with my taxes, so I get it. And since Turning Point created its tax department a few years ago, I've been continually amazed at how our CPAs are constantly finding mistakes in the tax returns that they review. And it's not just from do-it-yourselfers, but professional tax preparers are making mistakes. The tax department at Turning Point, it happens to be the fastest growing part of our business. 5 CPAs on staff this year. We just finished up filing more than 1,000 tax returns for 2022. Our current tax code, if you didn't know, it's set to expire in just over 2 years. And starting in 2026, we revert to the old tax code, which had us all paying higher taxes. This means that we all have a little bit of time to work on our own individual tax circumstances. It seems all but certain that nothing will happen in government before the next election related to taxes or anything else. Beyond that, it's very hard to predict what our next president or the legislatures may do with the tax code. Our advice is to stay informed and work with someone that keeps up with this stuff. Another thing, TurboTax, in my opinion, or any other software, it can be manipulated. It works with what you tell it, and it's certainly not proactive. It's only backward looking, not forward looking. Do-it-yourself software doesn't do the type of tax planning that we're talking about. And I'm not trying to sell you on our tax services, but just open your eyes to the things we encounter all the time. Working with someone you can trust and someone who proactively gives you advice, that's where we all should be. At Turning Point, we have our CPAs engaged in our financial planning process for our clients. I'm constantly pushing for ideas and recommendations from the tax department to improve a family's financial situation and address the long-term massive tax bill. Hang with me on this a sec. Let's say an individual makes $100,000 and they pay $25,000 a year in taxes. Over a 30-year career, that's $750,000 in taxes. What if we could reduce that? What if we could reduce that to $650,000 or $600,000? That's serious money saved that could be invested along the way to provide for an early retirement or certainly a more comfortable retirement. Audits, red flags, they happen all the time, and everyone should know that the IRS, it never calls. It only notifies by mail. We all heard recently about the budget and staffing increases at the agency. I'd say get some help if you don't understand your audit. And red flags, they're going to be unique to each family. Quick story I want to share with everyone. One of our clients, they were making major mistakes in their tax life. And this is despite having their taxes done by a professional tax preparer. As I said before, mistakes are common, and getting forward-thinking advice from most tax preparers, it's uncommon. Always ask your tax preparer for ideas and suggestions. Many are just not forthcoming. Some examples of what we uncovered with our client: they were not taking advantage of deductions for medical expenses, including mileage. This client has 3 kids. They're doing well, saving for their college, but missing out on their state's generous deduction. Happened to be New York State, which provides a $10,000 tax benefit per child with its college savings program. Maryland, where I live, it's $2,500 per kid. Virginia, $4,000 per kid. Every state's different. This client, they had a Roth. They weren't utilizing it fully. We suggested setting up another for the spouse, making annual contributions. Family also had someone considered special needs. It did not have an ABLE account, thereby missing out on its tax benefits. The long-term tax strategies that we uncovered and recommended, they're going to save this client several $100,000 of lifetime taxes. And I point all this out because I believe each of us needs to take a close look at our personal circumstances. The question to ask is, am I overpaying the IRS? Hang with me, folks. I know this is a lot. It's definitely worthwhile. The Roth is up next. The Roth is one way to incorporate a strategy to manage the uncertainty of what future taxes might look like. And everyone here today should have some of their retirement plan invested in its Roth portion. If not, you might consider a Roth IRA. By the way, everyone can participate regardless of your income. If you believe or you've been told you make too much money to have a Roth IRA, you're misinformed. A little used strategy called the backdoor Roth, it allows high wage earners to have Roth IRAs. We do it all the time. I just want to pause for a sec. I want to make sure everyone's understanding this. What we're suggesting is a Roth IRA, which you would do on your own or with someone like me, or Roth participation through the TSP. Some people do both, and you can. Again, with the Roth, we not only get the tax bill out of the way now, we pay tax on the smaller contribution amount, not the much larger amount that the account grows to become. More on that in a sec. The Roth is funded with money that's already taxed. It grows completely tax-free. It then comes out tax-free. When you need money in the future, you can use the Roth without having to pay extra taxes. Think about it. If the tax rate's higher in the future, and most people believe that it has to be, you'll be in a great position to have access to tax-free money. That's the Roth. Anyone with a traditional TSP, private sector folks that might have 401ks, 403bs, you need a tax solution. And taking advantage of today's tax rates on sale is the way to be thinking about Roths. As I said earlier, in 2026, we revert to the old tax code. So everyone has a little time to execute their own Roth strategy while rates are low. Let's quickly cover the contribution limits for 2023, and you all should be aware of these numbers. TSP, $22,500. If you're under age 50, over age 50, you can participate in the catch-up or spillover, $7,500 or a total of $30,000 for your TSP. IRA, $6,500 or $7,500, depending on your age. We should all be striving to max out. Roth conversions. Let's move to Roth conversions, which is something that I do every year as part of my long-term tax strategy. I do it because it allows me to lock in today's low tax rates. Having a Roth, it removes the uncertainty of future tax rates. The Roth conversion, it's simply converting or moving money from a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA. Has to be done in IRAs, can't be done in a TSP or any other type of retirement plan. When you do the conversion, you pay taxes on the amount you're converting. Those taxes are paid when you file taxes. Best of all, distributions from the Roth, those are invisible on your tax return. It has no impact on your overall taxable income. The blue line on this slide here, that's the Roth. Don't get too hung up on the numbers or some of the other lines. It's almost always more advantageous to participate in Roth conversions over time. It makes more economic sense. If you or your spouse or partner have some old 401ks, 403bs, maybe you were in the private sector at one time, or even if you have IRAs, you can use those to jumpstart a Roth. Just to repeat, the Roth involves paying taxes now in exchange for not having to pay tax on distributions later, like during retirement. What do you estimate the future tax on your required minimum distributions if you don't convert? Required minimum distributions we also call RMDs. What does this mean? Well, if you don't convert and you're in the land of RMDs, which is taking out what the government tells you to take out and paying taxes on those amounts, whether you need the money or not. As I said, I convert a small amount each year because the tax bill on converting the entire thing, it's too much. That's my plan. I want my plan, not the government plan, which is RMDs. RMDs start at age 73 for any traditional retirement plan. That's your IRA, the TSP. We call this the government plan because it forces you to take a certain amount every year. That's how taxes are collected. Roths, they never have RMDs because you paid the taxes up front. One more thing. Creating a financial plan that's integrated with your tax plan early on and getting out in front of that tax obligation, that's one way to make your own plan. The Roth, it removes the uncertainty of future tax rates because Roths are funded with after-tax dollars. With the Roth, the question you need to ask yourselves is, do you want to pay tax on the small amount or the large amount? What does that mean? Well, that means your Roth growth is not taxed. And let's talk about an example. I make reference to that on the slide with the acorn and the tree. Do you want to pay tax on the acorn or do you want to pay tax on the tree? The acorn, you're paying taxes on your contribution. The tree is where you're paying taxes on the distribution. So the Roth is the acorn, and if we put some simple numbers to it, let's say we made $5,000 in contributions. We've paid tax on $5,000 of contributions. Our Roth over time grows to some hypothetical figure. We'll say $50,000. We have a $50,000 pot of money we can access in our Roth tax-free. If we're on the other side, we made a $5,000 contribution to a traditional TSP or even a traditional IRA, we're going to pay taxes on the tree. We got the tax benefit up front with a traditional contribution. That's okay. That's nice. Some people need that. That $5,000 again grows to the same amount, $50,000. We owe taxes on $50,000, the tree, as we take the money out. That's my acorn and tree story. I hope that helps you better understand the difference between Roth and traditional accounts. Just a few more slides, folks. I appreciate you hanging with me. I want to talk about financial planning. Financial planning is what my firm is known for. Turning Point is a planning firm. It's how most people come to work with us. We look at all your stuff. We have a dedicated team people that have taken classes and have designations. They're certified financial planners. They use sophisticated software. They're going to look at all your stuff. I'm describing the Turning Point financial plan if you don't know what a financial plan is. The team looks at all your stuff, last year's tax return, your social security statement, your pay stub, your TSP, your IRA, your budget, your pension, insurance, life, homeowners, and auto insurance. Every aspect of your financial life we analyze because it's what happens in one thing impacts the other. And you need to have this big picture, high level viewpoint of everything. The plan solves for goals. We'll talk about your goals. We take you through a 3-meeting process. At the end of the plan, we give you recommendations. We'll help you implement those recommendations so the plan is successful. We'll serve as your accountability partner. Some of the tax-related recommendations that come up in the plans that we do for families, they're things like maxing out a TSP, maxing out an IRA, HSA, 529, even FSA. All of these lower your taxable income. Growing your tax-free buckets, Roth and Super Roth. That's a common recommendation. Non-retirement accounts, tax-efficient investment strategies in those type of accounts. Some folks sometimes get killed with capital gains from a stock trading account, from mutual fund capital gain distributions. Tax loss harvesting, that sometimes comes up. Your advisor can help you with that. We can talk to you about that. Roth conversions, we touched on that. That's almost always a recommendation from our financial plans, when to do that, how to do that, what amounts. And then tax planning integrated with a financial plan, that's essential to lowering the massive long-term tax bill that we're talking about. And the question we all need to address is, do you have your tax advisor and your financial advisor, are they talking and working together to lower your taxes and keep them low? Those are some of the things that come out of the financial plans that we do for clients. Next up are action items. And by the way, these slides are available upon request. Send me an email. I'll have my email address up here in just a sec. Let me know if you'd like a copy. I'm happy to share the slides or even a recording of this presentation. We talked about what happens when you don't have a long-term tax plan. That's a larger tax bill. We want to automate. We want to have money going directly from our paycheck into an IRA, into a TSP, into a 529, whatever types of accounts that are appropriate for you to help lower our tax bill. Make sure you have the right accounts set up to manage taxes in a way that's most efficient for your circumstances. We want our financial plan and our tax plan, we want them complementing each other. Again, we want our CPA and our CFP talking to one another about strategy, about taxes, about our goals, trying to be efficient. And that's one of the things I like about where I work. At Turning Point, we have everything under one roof. CPAs, a great resource for me, they're just down the hall. Roth contributions in any way you can, that's important. The Roth advantages and benefits, they may not be available to all of us in the near term. It's been on the government's chopping block. The last one kind of speaks for itself, saber rattling proposals. Next year's a big year, election year. Try not to get too caught up into that noise. This year, people say a lot of things. A lot of times it's never gets implemented. So be patient with all of that sort of stuff. We're getting to the end here, folks. So we're going to get to Q&A in just a moment. The biggest mistake we see people make, it's not asking for help when they really need it. Fortunately, you have resources. Several federal agencies, they've asked me to be a resource to you. you should contact me if you need help or you have questions about anything we discussed here today. My contact information on the screen. Everything's confidential. You can learn more about me, about my firm on our website. We do have the website up here. LinkedIn, I'm on LinkedIn. I know I've already connected with many of you on LinkedIn. I post content to LinkedIn. The free consult, let's talk about that for a second. Early on, I mentioned your participation today entitles you to a free meeting with me. If that's something you're interested in, send me an email. We'll schedule a time and we can talk about this stuff. We can talk about your TSP. We can talk about your retirement, whatever's on your mind. So take advantage of the free meeting. All you do there is send me an email. So that's it. I appreciate you all being here today. Feel free to reach out if we can be of any help. We have a library of content we are able to share if you're interested in any of our other webinars. Again, we try to do these monthly. Let us know how we might be able to add value to your financial life in the future. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email and share this with any colleagues you have, friends, family members, coworkers. We're willing to share the information, whether it's a recording or the slides. Thanks, everybody. Be safe, stay healthy. Have a great day.